Okay, so Evil Dead Burn just came up, adding the franchise installment to now 6 movies, and wow, I have a lot to say about this one. But I'll start with the fact that I did overall enjoy it, but like other people have said on the internet, it's probably my least favorite franchise thus far. But first off, let's start with the plot. So, this movie is about a grieving family and wife when her husband dies in a car crash, which, may or may not involve Deadites. Spoiler warning, it did. Anyways, the family gets together at the funeral. Then at the family home, it turns out the brother of the family has been interested in the Book of the Dead, Notorum Demonto, the Necronomicon, whatever you want to call it, because his grandfather worked with Professor Noby from the original trilogy. Mostly Evil Dead 2, we see him, but he's also an Ash version of Evil Dead, and again, throughout the whole trilogy. Then Alice, our main character, reads in the book, of course, very smart, but things started even before she read from it, which, trying to remember, I'm not entirely sure if it explained it. And from the franchise lore so far, it's typically when someone reads from the Necronomicon only, or some type of incantation is told, or there's a demon like Ball from the Ash vs. Evil Dead, but whatever. Anyways, yeah, and typically Evil Dead fashion things go to shit, and obviously pretty much all of them die. So that's the general plot of the film. What I want to get into is what I liked about it first. First off, the gore. They really did incredible with this film. The director, Sebastian Banasek, hope I'm saying that right, did really well with the practical effects. Other than maybe the last 15 minutes or so, which we'll get to. But another thing is also how batshit crazy this movie is. I mean, the main character, Alice, gets fucking torn through. It's just crazy. That's really how Evil Dead should be, in my opinion. Kill after kill. Another thing I really liked was how every shot felt so close up, whether it was an action scene, a tense scene, or really just the whole fucking film. In general, it really added to make you feel really uncomfortable and just tense, weird. And I thought it was great. It was something that I think more horror movies should do, and the best ones do. And, okay, another thing I really liked was a reference to the previous films. I mean, of course, we all want that. I think a lot of people now discovered the Bruce Campbell picture in the grandma's house, going up the stairs or whatever. That was great. Another one I found was that this clipped newspaper article about 4 people dead in a cabin when you see Alice is reading through Joseph's journal entries. I guess it's a reference to the original or 2013. I think I read the director wanted to include a reference to everything previous in the franchise, so, yeah, I guess probably 2013. But I thought that was great. Another thing I liked that I don't think anyone has yet to talk about was it almost felt to me like there was some kind of connection between the Price family and the Williams family. And it was both that seemed to be cursed from day one. I mean, with Ash and the Williams family, Ash's life turned to shit and Cheryl died. But you also think of his dad, who dies in Ash vs. Evil Dead. With the Price family, it was more of a generational curse due to the grandfather, again, working with Professor Noby, and that's never good. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. There's also something about the Wise Men they revealed, which definitely has to be a reference to Army of Darkness, where the actual Wise Men in that movie created this cult of the Wise Men to stop Deadites, or it was just a reference, a name only by director. That was cool. Again, also, there's some really great shots in this movie. There's one where Alice is in the bathroom with the mom, who's a Deadite, and the camera flips over, she grabs her from the top, and then the mirror shot we see in the trailer is great. So those are some great examples. There's also a couple times that just felt a little flat visually. The color grading is very dark. It overall just feels a little flat compared to the insane visual pizzazz of all the previous entries. But again, there were a couple moments of brilliance. And of course, the actors that played the Deadites were great, as in pretty much every Evil Dead, really. There's a couple of weird moments like when the Deadites were kissing, but, a couple standout moments for me personally. Another great moment was when Joseph uses the dishwasher to just smash the fuck out of Thia's head. Thought that was great. It gave a lot of Ash energy. Really liked that part. That was the effects were great. Great Evil Dead moment. Something that is controversial with this movie has been not really the plot points of the ending, but really the CGI use of the ending. And people have said it looks like an Xbox 360 final boss, and I kind of get it for the most part. But I also think that as far as Evil Dead endings go, just didn't match up to the previous entries. You look at Evil Dead 2013. It's raining blood and Mia's killing the abomination with a chainsaw to the face. You can't beat that. But even the endings of the original trilogy are great. Even the alternate ending to Army of Darkness is fantastic. So, yeah. Overall, the ending was a little iffy, but I did think it worked for the most part. So we'll talk about the post-credit scenes now. First off, we get one that doesn't matter too much, but I should mention it. The grandma from earlier in the film, on the road, just crawling around because she has no leg. Well, she has one leg, I guess. And then this woman from a car, comes to say, "Are you okay?" She scratches her, kills her, whatever, spreading the possession even further. So we'll see where that goes if that ever becomes picked up in later films. But the really interesting post-credit scene is after at the crematorium, or cremation place, whatever you want to call it, that we saw earlier in the film. We see the ashes of Ellie Bixler, played by Alyssa Sutherland in Evil Dead Rise, who was a fan favorite for that film, and the franchise as a whole. Anyways, turns out she's back, and she kills a kid, and says, "Mommy's back." How is she back? Well, doesn't really make sense. I guess studio mandates that's how she's back. Well, anyways. Yeah, Evil Dead Burn was a solid entry in the series, but overall, it is my least favorite for a lot of reasons. Mostly how flat it felt visually a lot of the time, though, like I said, there were some moments of absolute brilliance. Also, a couple stand-up moments I forgot to mention was the opening with Jessica from Rise during the lake water and boiling water. That was terrifying. That was a great moment. But yeah, overall, I do see why people have problems with this entry, but I still liked it for the most part. So overall, thanks for watching, and stay groovy.
Good. Bad. I'm the guy with the gun.